You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it.
People often view escaping the Matrix as an online marketing scam with people like Andrew Tate leading the way.
You used to be a slave and you'd work all day, and at the end you got food in the house. Now, you work all day, you get money, and you spend all your money on a food and a house. Like, nothing, slavery is still here, my friends. Nothing's changed, right? Nothing's changed. And what they want is they want slaves. They want slaves who are gonna comply and pay their taxes.
Flip side of this is seeing those that are trying to escape the Matrix is basically just another crazy conspiracy theorist.
Do my best thinking on the bus. That's how come I don't drive, see?
You don't even know how to drive.
I don't want to know how. I don't want to learn, see? The more you drive, the less intelligent you are.
Of course, once you realize what the Matrix really is, it's definitely a strong reaction.
The universe, by law, is not going to allow you to be successful and prosperous while you're still contained within a completely immoral, satanic system. Why would you believe that to be so?
That's because when people really go deep, they realize we've been at war with the Matrix for generations, most of the time without even realizing it.
Yeah, guys, we're in a war. And the greatest way to defeat your enemy is to convince your enemy that there's nothing even to fight about, that they're not even in a war, that no conflict really exists. Our enemy is very sophisticated. They perfected this a long time ago. And when we look to and fro and up and down, and we search everywhere for the faces of the ones that are responsible for why the world is the way it is today, we're given many faces as scapegoats. We're given the puppets while the marionettes look down and laugh.
Go a bit deeper, and suddenly you start to realize this isn't like a regular shoot-'em-up war. This is actually a spiritual battle that's been going on for quite some time. A battle where an elite few have consolidated media interests.
Because the mainstream media, they're there to tell us information, right? But they're not telling us this information. Could it be for this reason?
Anderson's Weekly brought to you by Pfizer.
No, it can't be anything to do with that. I'm paranoid. I'm a conspiracy theorist. Where's my tinfoil hat?
And created a band of non-elected elites who decide what the world is going to do next.
There's a group of people, some of the most influential people in the world. They control the money, the banking, they control the businesses, the corporations, and every single year they go and they gather and they get together to think about how we'll change things through the financing, through the banks, through the governments, and through business. The World Economic Forum. This is their goal, but it's certainly not what I want, it's probably not what you want, and so it doesn't have to be true.
Always keeping us in fear of the next war.
Chinese are mobilizing millions for war. The UK is contemplating sending Typhoon fighter jets to the Ukraine, which of course is going to be a big catalyst to the war between NATO and Russia, which is coming. We also have the Russian generals now claiming that maybe it's time that we start doing nuclear tests again.
Keeping us struggling to make ends meet so that we are always in reactionary mode, never going deep enough to realize our true potential.
If our origins can be redefined as we were created as slaves, or we were nothing more than apes before. This does something to your mind. This makes you think that in the very beginnings you were an animal and a slave. And deep down inside of you, there will be a part of you that believes that because that's your beginning, you will never be anything else. That's sick. That's manipulative. And it's a lie. And what we are, and what we are evolving into, what we will spiritualize into, is much greater than anything that weird story of the Dark Age ever. It's a lie to stop you from learning the big picture that we've been talking about here today.
Yeah, what if I told you right now that you could escape the Matrix without buying a thing? What if I also told you that it takes only one shift in thinking to be free? Obviously, you'd probably be skeptical, yet at the same time, at least willing to follow the White Rabbit.
Oh, White Rabbit.
Come on. It'll be fun. I promise.
Yeah. Sure.
After all, that was Neo's first decision before taking the red pill, blue pill option. Yet how far are you willing to go down the rabbit hole? Of course, maybe you think that just giving up Netflix and mainstream news will get you the epiphanies you need to break free. And that is something you might be willing to do as long as, please, no ice baths.
Sauna and cold plunge routine that I do, it's made a giant difference, and it just makes me feel great. I get out of here and I just feel wonderful. I feel calm, and I feel loose, and I feel relaxed.
First, we have to look at what we're escaping in the first place. The popular term, of course, is the Matrix, but it could just as easily be called dungeon programming.
Dungeon programming, it can be anything that we have fallen prey to that basically becomes something we are now absorbed in, and we lose our sense of self. It is to involve you in all the activities of the world so that you will always find everything that you need in life externally. Many people automatically go to a negative connotation. It's not. Dungeon programming is anything that you've basically bought into. And this exchange between you and the world around you is totally physical and totally exterior of you. It is the exact opposite of living that highly individualized immortal soul that seeks to live within and draws from itself more than it contains, that knows that the true its comfort comes from within, that understands that its personal securities come from within, not from without. Dungeon programming saturates you from the moment you are alive, and it completely saturates you with all these ideas that you need all these other things that are independent of you in order for you to subsist.
Now at this point you might be thinking, whatever the Matrix is, it just seems way too powerful. What it takes though is to have eyes again, to see what you didn't see before.
My eyes are... You've never used them before.
And then doing this one exercise to break free.
Everything we do is patterned, but there's an element to our existence that we need to be aware of if we're going to live anything but a mundane existence. This groundhog day that we are living in day to day to day, it can be altered, and you can introduce excitement into your life by making very subtle, small changes.
Breaking pattern is just looking at things from different angles, doing things a little bit differently, and really just going, okay, let me surprise my own mind. When you do that, synchronicities happen, all kinds of different things that wouldn't normally happen start to happen. And you start to connect the dots from a totally different angle, from a totally different perspective, and you start to unravel some of the matrix. Because even though power has been consolidated to a few, on an individual level, we still have power. Choices. Some are small choices with big results. Like the usual suspects, you know, drinking spring water, or at least filtering all the crap, fluoride and so on that comes at you. Eating real food, and then just feeling the results. And it's also just like taking time away to just be in silence and slowly regain the ability to actually focus. These all have real results on a subconscious and conscious level. In the process, of course, you may see things and realize things that make you think everything is just as hopeless as before. I mean, you may know about the Matrix and may see where you can kind of escape it slightly, but it still seems pretty hopeless. Go a little bit deeper though, and you realize how simple things can be. Now at this point, you may decide that your own individual freedom is enough. That's also about the time when you realize helping others along the way is part of what helps us all move towards a tipping point. Kind of like the 100th monkey effect. So when you open up free energy, it doesn't by default come under the control of a few elite. Yet rather, a tipping point of humanity would have woken up by then so that we wouldn't be so easily manipulated into slavery again. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a like. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.